Well, hello again everyone, welcome back, thanks for visiting once again, and thank you very much for looking at the last video I did on the attachment of the wing roots here. That's all completed now, and as you can see it's gone along quite nicely, and I've done the seam filling bits here. Don't need to do anything at all there because, as you may remember, we sacrificed this side here, the outside here, to get the inside absolutely spot on. There won't, I don't even think, need be any seam filling here because these are natural panel lines, so that's all fine. They're a little more pronounced, maybe some Mr. Surfacer 1500 might help that a little bit, might give that a bit of a try, I think possibly, but from arm's length it looks pretty good. If you examine it very closely it won't. These front areas here, I used the old extra thin quick setting, this stuff here. I'll need that in a minute, so we'll leave that down there. And those have gone together absolutely fine, and I've also put that vent on there, that vent cover there. I've painted that inside with a bit of the zinc chromate yellow. I don't think the call out is correct for the internal cockpit green, the green colour that you use in there. So I've not done it that way, but then you can't see very much anyway, and I wanted to get these things on as quickly as I could, but as you would expect with a Tamiya kit, it's all gone together very easily and very nicely, and with the minimum of fuss and inconvenience. But today what we'll do is we'll look at the flaps, and you can have the flaps in two orientations. You can have them, as you may know, up or down. We'll just zero in a little bit here. I'm not going to bother with up, I'm going to do the flaps down because that's how KD431 is represented in the museum at Yeovilton. So we take all these parts here. There's quite a lot of cleaning up to do here, so I thought I would do a video. Now some of this is going to be fairly dull stuff, to be honest with you, so I know I'm selling you off this, as it were, but you can zero through it as you go, and you can buzz through to perhaps more interesting pieces, maybe if I do some zeroing in and so on. Just a couple of words really on this. This is a mobile phone camera in there, and it's got very good focus out here on normal amplification, focal length, but it does come in very close, and you can see things very nicely, and actually when you look at the fact that you can see this in focus here, and my right hand here is almost in focus as well. They're really bloody clever, and I think what they're doing is stitching images together. I don't know, but I think that's what we are doing. On the other hand, what I can also do is get in extremely close with the magnifier as well, and then we can start to see some very significant details in that way, and we can see just exactly how detailed all of this stuff is. You can see the scissor jacks and all of this kind of thing, the tube work here. I was going to put the tube work in now. These springs here, you can choose to put wire ones in yourself. I've made a little wire spring here which you can have a little look at as well to see how close that would be. As you can see, it's a little bit larger, so it's slightly over scale, but I think the reason for that is because I wound it round a wider tube to be able to get that finish like that. I think a slightly thinner grade of wire would be better. This is wire from a speaker, so it's really quite thin. Let's get, the focus has gone here. Let's try and get that. What's happened here? Oh, there we go, look. It uses a different lens to get that close in. Yeah, you can do that. But on KD431, the the port side undercarriage return springs here, which for what this is what these are, was missing. So we always know port from starboard. That's the port one in my left hand. This is the starboard one in my right. So what I may do is cut that spring off there because it actually isn't in the it isn't on the KD431, and so therefore I would be mimicking that particular aspect. But as you can see, I can get in very close and see these details in full in full glory, as it were. So I think that's quite a useful thing to do. So we'll move my light out of the way, and this also doubles up as a light for me as well, so it shines a goodly amount of light on. I can add that as well, and that gives me even more. So that's why when you see those shiny boxes, you get those two circular lights, because this is a circular light underneath here, as you can see there. And there's another one that's fairly similar behind it, so that's why you get the misterons on boxes and so on. I think we can perhaps give you a quick show. There you are, there are the misterons there. So you know, we have to look out for them, have to be very careful, don't we? But there you are. So anyway, look, let's get to this, and we're going to start to make these flaps up, and I'll collect some parts off the sprue, and so we're going to need C3 and C8. So C3 is there. If we wanted P0 as well, we'd have C3PO, wouldn't we? Ha ha, yeah, there you go, that's my joke for the day. I think I'm allowed to be humorous now and again. C3 and C8. So I noticed some lots of interest on the internet these days with different types of cutters. I use the Tamiya ones here. They're quite expensive, but they do work quite well. I've had these for about 3 or 4 years now, and if you treat them carefully, the blades don't break. Let's get in there again on this. The blades are quite good. There, well, hang on, that's not playing, is it? There we go. The blades last quite well. As long as you don't cut wire with them, they're fine. So I've treated them reasonably carefully. Hopefully that's good enough, and there we are. But I would certainly recommend them if recommending things was to be my thing. So we now want W5, W24. I want C12 as well. Let's find C12. What's C there? 8. C12. There it is. That's that one there. And take that off there. So that's, oh, I just bent a part there, which is C25. Hopefully we'll need that at some stage, and I can take it off. The other ones we need component wise are W5, which is that. So got to be careful with these, and W24. I'll take that off quite carefully there, and that about covers it, I think. Oh, and C29, I forgot about that one. There we go. Where's C29? Oh, here we are, C29 here. So we have a couple of component moulding artifacts here that we need to take out, so I'll just cut that off there and out there, and we'll crack along. So what I would tend to do here is to cut off the sprue gate to that level, and for clean up on these sort of things, I use these glass files. You've seen me use these before, and very good they are too. And they create very, very good flat surfaces and allow us to be able to get very good mating faces for the parts that we clean up. Excuse me. I have to be a bit careful with that one there, because I've got a little pip there a locator pip there, as you can see, and there's the sprue point there. So I need to use a small stick here to get that off. So well, let's do that where you can see it, shall we? That's probably a good idea, isn't it? Just push along here a minute. Let's just go in with that. I've got a thinner glass stick here, glass file. That may help, because it certainly considerably, doing this considerably shortens the time spent in cleanup, because these little files are really jolly efficient at this sort of thing. Yeah, I don't particularly like using that in that particular area there. Oh, this is the 1200 grit file. It's no wonder it's taking ages. There we go, that's the 320. That's better. So we use a Mark 1 fingernail. We got that one sorted. C8. Get those two bits out there. So these flaps on the Corsair were considerably useful in terms of they lower the landing speed, but when the flaps are deployed, they create a nose down attitude in an aircraft. So one has to trim the aircraft to a slightly nose up attitude using the trim tabs at the back end of the aircraft. So you'll remember from our looks, this is what's called a balance tab here. This short one here and this long one is a trim tab. So what you can do is you can roll a wheel in the cockpit, and these trim tabs can be trimmed up or down. So if you've trimmed the aircraft, if you've put the flaps down, then you've got a nose down attitude. So you trim the aircraft upwards so that the stick is at straight and level, and that will then get you into a position where you can land, and you don't have to take account of your nose down attitude to the same degree that you would have done with without using a trim tab. So trimming the aircraft for straight and level flight is a good thing. It's one of the first things that pilots tend to learn when they start to fly. That and keeping your head out of the cockpit, they call it, looking around you. You can fly on instruments, but it's actually much easier to keep your head out of the cockpit and look at what you're doing, and to maintain a straight and level attitude by looking at the attitude of your wings. Also, my flying instructor told me all those years ago. There we go. So this drops in there. So as you all know, the KD431 didn't have this little panel in it. It's not visible at all, so I'm going to have to fill that in. So by the way, when gluing through these kind of things here, don't touch that side, so don't hold the thing sort of like that, because otherwise the glue will wick through and you'll end up leaving glue splodges on your nice finish of your model. And there we go. That's pretty straightforward to do. I'll just push that down a little bit. This is quick setting cement, so there you go. You can see a little bit of the glue has wicked through there, but I'm going to address that joint anyway, so that we don't have any gap there. So because I don't want that anyway. So we'll let that dry for a minute. Shut that lid. C3 here. Just get that nib off there. There we go. We know that's done, because so where are we? We're all up to speed there. So what we can now do, that's dry to the touch. We can now arrange these so that we can then see precisely how these look. Just blow the dust out of that. So that's pretty straightforward there. I'm going to hold on to that in that fashion, and then just apply cement all round. It's all pretty self-explanatory stuff. Do the same thing on this side. That's that bit done. And we didn't clear C29, did we? Need to do that. I'll need to go under the magnifier for this one because that's a bit small. So let's have a quick look at the instructions. Yeah, that goes into that little spot there. So we got a little locator pin, and then we got a sprue gate. So let's just cut that. I'm going to cut that quite far down, that particular moulding point. We'll use our little file. There we go, that's that bit done. That's another little section there, so we'll cut that quite far down as well. And then clean up the rest. We have to hold these small parts fairly carefully. Right, there we go, so that's that. And then what we can do is we can drop that in there. And that sits right in there like that. And just hold that carefully. Make sure it's vertical at right angles to this surface here, which it is. Just drop a bead of glue in there. You actually, if you looked in carefully there, you'd have seen the glue wicking down that joint there in the same way that the panel line product does. So we just need to put that in there. Now we have some quite large, no, they're not ejector pin marks. Now those are holes that we could drill out, as it happens. I need to look at that to see if they need to be drilled out. I hadn't really studied the instruction on that. So let's have a quick look, see. I won't put that in just yet, but what we'll do is we'll fetch off these other components here, because we may be able to add some additional realism by drilling these out and then painting inside there. It may be visible, it may not be. The same thing is true of this little hole here. That's the connection point for the wing folding mechanism, so that when that arm sits right down here, it goes through there, so it has to be open. So that needs to be drilled out, and I saw that I think yesterday and thought I need to do that. Silly not to, really. So let's zero out, get some more components off. So we want W25, that's the C sprue, and that's W25 there. We also want W6, which is that one there. So I'll just clean them up straight away. Oh, no, actually, well, yes, we'll do that straight away. We'll get that sorted out. And then we can get that foot panel in, preparatory to making it disappear, of course. Yes, there we go. That's that bit done. Let's have a quick look, see what the fit looks like there. There we go. It's not particularly good now. Why is that? It's standing away there, as you can see. Don't know why that might be. That's a bit peculiar. It's not a lot of pressure to apply to put on that, but and not a lot of that will be seen as well, but I'm not particularly happy with the way that fits all right. Those trailing edges look okay. Anyway, let's continue for a minute before I start to get myself into a tizzy about that. Nothing to worry about really, nothing we can't resolve fairly easily. And we'll drop that in the right way round. It's probably a good idea, eh? There we go. Right. Ah, that one's alive. Oh, dear. There we go. Right. Nope, that's okay. I'll leave that for a minute. We'll then look at C18. Which is that one there. Just take that sprue gate off there, that nib there. Tamiya seem to be alone in having these sprue moulding entry points that rest proud of a seating face. Others probably do this, but I haven't perhaps noticed or seen them. Maybe other kit manufacturers do, but certainly Airfix don't seem to anyway. So that goes on. That will go on that side like that. So some of that will be visible. Yes, so that's the long side in there. So some of this detail will be visible if one looks really hard, sort of inboard up and in here. So there we go, that's the side round it goes. No it isn't, no it isn't, no it isn't. That's the side round it goes. like that. So we're doing, there we go. Yeah, so a tiny bit of that detail will be visible up in there. So this is a bit more fiddly than one thinks, to be honest with you. So we will need to drill out those things, and I've lost my little tweaker. Where's that gone? Oh, there it is. It's on the wrong page. That's what what went wrong. So let's do it the right way round, shall we? There we go. So yeah, we can choose to drill out those little holes there, and that would be the right way forward. So we'll attack that in a minute. There are some other components here to put in, including an A part which is on the fret. Yeah, okay, so we've got that all done there. C18. Okay, this is a bit C18, right, okay, so C18 is that top part there. Yes, I'm going to have to clean the gap there. As you can see, I've overfiled that, so we need C17, which is that component there. And it's not, that's C4. I've taken the wrong one off. C17 is that one there. So this is the reason why you pay attention, and also the reason why I video these things and don't edit them, because you then see when people make a mistake. So I've got to remember C4. And just see, yeah, C4 goes in next time on the port side unit, so I can keep that for the next one that I do. So that's not a problem. Just have to remember that I took it off, although when I come to it on the sprue I'll give myself a big clue anyway, won't I? So there we are. Right, so let's have a look, see how this fits. So C18 and A18 go together there. I see, okay. C17 goes in at the bottom here quite clearly. Or does it? So C17 sits in there like that, and then the C18 component fits onto the top of it like this. So it's going to be a bit of a trick to fit then, isn't it, by the look of it? That fits in there, and then there are a couple of little parts to fit in. And they're A components, so that's these. So let's just have a look at these for a minute. I thought this would be quite straightforward, but at 30 minutes in it's a lot more involved than I suspected. So we want A18, which is that little component there, and A28, which is that little component there. So we want A18 and A28, which are both there. So they need to be taken off and cleaned up. So what we'll do, I'll get my marvellous scissors and very carefully cut these away. I'm going to use the magnifier again because it's the only way I can see these confounded things. Put that down there, and then we wanted A28. So I'm running the risk of snipping myself with the scissors here, but I don't want to bend these components. They're fairly tough, but it's probably a good idea to... There we go. So we can test fit them in a second and see what happens there. So we'll just take the magnifier out of the way and give ourselves a little bit of light, and also we'll need a file. So I tend to use a flat file for these things, and I need the magnifier again. So you can, with these components here, see if we can show you this. There we go. You can either file across at right angles like this to the work, or you can file that way. I think it's better to go that way because we can then get those fret points off much more easily. So let's do that. And this is the same as using the metal files, really, isn't it? Because once you've taken that connection point off, everything gets much smoother, and you can feel with your finger whether that's smooth or not. There we go, that's done. So we can do the same. We have to grasp this quite tightly between thumb and forefinger. Same on the other side. Again, we have to be quite careful. So we're applying some pressure with the file, but not a great deal. Maybe the microphone's sensitive enough to pick up the noise, by which I mean the noise of the file, not me speaking. And as you can hear, once we get to the point at which we've taken that material, that excess material away, we then are able to hear that the sound that the file makes has changed. So we've got two connection points here, so we can do this together, hopefully, both at the same time, but we have to be very careful because these are particularly small. This is a particularly small component. So once again, we've taken that excess material away. Got a little bit more to hold on to, but we have to be careful here because this is a curve here. This describes a slight curve. So we have to throw it onto the workbench, find it, pick it up, and then try again. So what I'm going to do is to file slightly away from that curve there. And that way I don't take any material off that section there. So I'm just not filing in a line like that, I'm filing slightly away. So that tends to help the matter, I suspect. You just have to be patient and careful. There we go. So those are those two components there. Oh, so this large component here, this large piece of etch goes, it would appear, on there like that. I'm going to have to look through the magnifier again, because otherwise I can't see it. It's very difficult to see. That makes sense. That's a bit too large for that, by the look of it. Appears to sit on there like that and then get glued in, and appears to overhang the edge, but it doesn't make any sound. Maybe it does, maybe it does. So that goes on the inside there and slightly overhangs the edge. Forgive me thinking aloud here, but I'm looking at the instructions, trying to make some sense of them. And that presumably then sits in there. Oh, you can see the finished article. Oh, no, this is the wrong one. That's why it's not going to fit. I could try fitting that all bloody day long and it wouldn't fit. So let's put the right one in, shall we? So that would go there and not therefore overhang to any meaningful degree and sit in the correct place. And has a little hole and sits in there like that. Yeah, this is going to be extremely fiddly, it would appear. See if I can put that in when it's in situ. Not like that, I can't. Okay, so let's see if we can put this in situ. Right. There's bloody muck on it as well. There's dust and shit of the third kind. Oh, there we go. So it can be pretty much dropped in. It can be dropped in after the event, as it were. And like that. Oh, there we go. So it gives us a cover, but gives us some gap detail, as it were, you know, some holes. So okay, so that's fairly straightforward. So let's try the other side. So we now want this component here, which sits in there like that, and okay, so that doesn't, those fits aren't good there. You can see there's bloody great yawning gaps there. Right, put that in. find our other bit of shiny. Where's the shiny? There it is up there. Let's orientate this the way that so that appears to then sit in there like that. And then you get some additional detail. I'm still thinking about removing these little holes here. This is a lot more complex and requires a lot more patience to complete than I had first imagined. But I think what I'm going to do is to do quite a lot of this off camera. But you can see that there's a good deal of care required here. And I'm 41 minutes in now. So what I shall do is I shall do this off camera, and I shall get the fits tickety-boo, because these aren't very good at this moment, and I don't quite know why. I do know why, actually. There's a sprue point there, attachment point that was getting in the way, that was standing clear. Let's have a quick look. There's nothing there, so let's just put this back in again. So you know which way to get this up because of this little let's get me tweaker here. There's a little dimple there and there's a little pin there, so we know which way up to get that. So we can drop that in there, and that just slots straight in. Now, as you can see, the fit is a lot more positive now. It's a lot better in that sense. So what we can then do is we'll just flip over that's turned over, and then we can just pick up this and then drop it in there. And that's how that fits in. But I think that you can see through these holes here, so I'm going to drill them out and paint the inside. I suspect zinc chromate yellow. It's just a bit of additional detail. It's a little bit rivet county, but I can apply that term to myself. I think it's not a fair term to apply to other people, but I will apply it to myself. So I'm being a bit rivet county, but there we go. I had hoped to get this whole page done today on video, but as it happens, we've got that much of the page done and nothing else, because we had some challenges to see, and I think it's worthwhile taking a look at those and dealing with them. So there we go. Anyway, after 43 minutes, which is one of the longer videos that I've done, I shall leave you to ruminate upon the output from this, and with any luck, I shall see you again in a short time, a few days maybe, a week or so perhaps, and I'll have this together and probably that, and we'll get them fitted. I might show you the fitting of them. I think that's probably a good thing to do. But I'll show you what I've done. All right, okay, well, look, thank you very much for watching. Do appreciate it, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care for now. Bye-bye.